What's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST Fantasy Sports Today. My name's Matt Striker. His name's Joe Pisapia, and you are in the right spot, but only if you want to dominate, if you want to win, whether it be season-long fantasy, straight-up wagering, whatever it is, we've got you covered. Quick reminder, at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Those are our social media handles. Keep the conversation going. We want to hear from you, and I'm pretty sure you've got some things you want to say to us. I've got some things I want to say to Joey P. Joe Pisapia, come on in. The author of the Fantasy Black Book. This is where you make your bones. The playoff push. First and foremost, it's good to see you. Let's dive right in.
Yes, and a belated happy Thanksgiving to you, and hope everyone's enjoying the holidays. I'm sure they're all full of leftovers, but we had a great Thursday slate. If you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, not the best Black Friday performance that you're going to see, but I was going into that week and saying, oh, this is the best slate of holiday games I think we've ever had, and they didn't disappoint, I'll be honest with you. You had the Joe Burrow return on Thursday night, which was super fun, again, unless you're a Ravens fan, in which case it was misery. But, you know, Joe Burrow just always exceeding expectations, always showing up in these big spots. You can't tell that guy he can't do something, because that is just money Joe Burrow. But don't get it wrong, everybody. The Bengals have almost no chance here. Okay, we're going to get into this a little later in the show, I'm sure. But, like, the Bengals are not going to make the playoffs. A million things have to happen for that to actually work out. And I just don't think that's going to be. But it was a nice moment for him and that team. And then you had that middle game as well between the Dallas Cowboys and the Chiefs, where I thought Dallas was going to cover. I had them to cover, and they not only covered, but they won outright. So a very important game here for the Dallas Cowboys, who are starting to roll a little bit. And then for the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, here we are again, Matt. We talk about this all the time, every single year. When a team loses the Super Bowl, what happens the next year? They kind of fall apart at the seams. They never make it back there. And the Kansas City Chiefs are having that exact same issue right now. They look like a team that's a little older, a little step behind. The running game can't get going. And then the other thing that can't get going, a very entertaining first game, working our way backwards. That Lions-Packers game, incredibly entertaining. You never know which Green Bay Packer wide receiver is going to be their day. It was Dontavian Wicks. And I continue, and I am not a Lions fan, but my rage on Thanksgiving at Dan Campbell's handling the last 5 minutes of that game, why you're going for it on fourth down when you're in field goal range, when you're down 2 scores, I don't get it. You don't get the fourth down. You take the air out of the balloon of the players and the stadium. Next thing you know, you're losing that football game. Take the point. Take the field goal for once, Dan Campbell. Were you as enraged as I was, Matthew, watching that game?
First of all, foremost, you call me Matthew. I sit up straight. Everything tightens up. I think my mom and my wife are mad at me, which is the norm. You know, it's funny. I've worked with you long enough that I kind of could hear you. And I've said this before. You kind of pop up on my shoulder sometimes, good Joe and bad Joe. And I hear you take the points, take the points. And that's what this game is about. And that's what coaches have been saying for decades. Yes, the dynamics of the game have changed. Yes, a lot of the play calling becomes a bit more brave or braver, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's about getting the points. And you're 100% right. If you don't convert right there, it demoralizes your team. And that's something that a coach has to take into consideration. It isn't just about play calling and personnel. It's about managing personalities, Joe. You know this. You're a coach as well. It's about managing the players on the field and motivating them through each and every play. Missing that there, like you said, the air just comes right out.
It does. And you know, situational football, which is something that I wasn't here last Sunday because I was coaching and winning, I might add, in the MetLife Stadium, something MetLife Stadium hasn't seen. Shout out to the 14U girls and 12U girls at Central Jersey Storm. If you want to play flag football, go hang out with us, Central Jersey. We're winning tournaments all over the place. It was a great thrill to play on that field, a great thing. But so much of those moments with talking to the players about situational football. Hey, you have a lead. This is how you play with a lead. This is how you're playing defense. These are situations. And I get the aggressiveness in the first half. Whatever. You want to be an aggressive team. You're at home. You're this incredible offense in that building. I get it. I understand. But when Amon-Ra St. Brown goes out of that game, and we're going to talk about his injury in a second, the managing that football game has to change. Jameson Williams stepped up in a big way. You had the momentum. You take the points. You continue to press on, and then you have your deep. It affects the defense too. They can play differently as well. When all of a sudden now you're just down by a touchdown instead of the 10. So just a horrible thing. And I'll tell you what, this is why the Lions won't get to a Super Bowl ever. And until they fix this, and I don't think it's fixable, this is going to be the Achilles heel of Dan Campbell. And to go to that last game too on Friday, real quick, just throwing this out there too. I had the Bears on all the betting pro shows during the week to cover. It was my favorite bet of the week. I thought the 7 was insane. I didn't necessarily think they were going to win outright, but credit to the Bears. They went out and did it.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now. I feel like the offense is broken for the Philadelphia Eagles. You see Saquon getting hit in the backfield all the time. I saw an interesting thing where he's kind of, we talk about tipping pitches when we talk baseball. That he is kind of tipping runs where he's looking around at times where he is going to be in pass protection and he's looking straight forward every time it's a run. And then whether or not he's giving that away, I saw a fascinating video on that over the weekend where somebody broke that down. But Matthew, again, I'm going to have you sit up straight. What did you think of that Eagles performance right now? Are the Eagles as broken as we might think they are?
I think it's about the play calling and the protection and allowing the play to develop. What I took from that game was that the Bears did their homework. The Bears were able to stop the unique offensive abilities of the Eagles, and other NFC teams, if they want to compete against the Eagles and move on, should take notes. You saw little things, and social media will always draw these out. Little things like what they would do on the tush push and things like that. Just smart, small adjustments that the Bears made that were unique to their opponent. Not just a playbook, if you will. It was unique to the tendencies of the Eagles, and it worked out. Now, you mentioned certain players here, and I'd like to know, as we're filling out our lineup, who's in, who's out. Can we start with Amon-Ra St. Brown? Just moving forward, what's the prognosis?
Well, prognosis is actually better than we had could have hoped for. It's a low ankle sprain. The MRI said it's a 1 to 2 week injury. My guess is he will miss this coming week 14. And that's tough because you have a lot of guys on bye as well as that last bye-pocalypse weeks, which is why you should not be starting your playoffs in week 14, everybody. Don't do that. That's the last bye week. You shouldn't do that. Week 15, 16, 17, that's your playoffs. Don't play in 18 either. But Amon-Ra is a monster. This guy's going to push to play is my guess. I would think he probably comes up short, so you're going to have an answer next week at wide receiver. Hopefully, you've already clinched your playoff spot, but the good news is you should have him for the playoffs. Now, there is an opportunity because they played on Thursday, right? There is some extra rest in there for him potentially. Sure. It's an outside chance. I would put it at like a 30% chance that he plays. I would say it's under 50%, but the good news is it's not a long-term injury. It's not a high ankle sprain. Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield with that shoulder issue. Again, it's the non-throwing shoulder, so that's the good thing. The bad thing is he's in pain, but he's played through this kind of pain before. The Bucs season has just been marred by injuries. They are having the worst luck here the last couple of weeks here. So a tough spot here for Baker Mayfield, but he's going to try to soldier through. Also returning Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver of the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this is going to be fascinating because since the appendicitis, you have had an absolute stunning performance by Michael Wilson 2 weeks in a row. 300 receiving yards in the last 2 weeks. So they say that Michael Wilson's continued to eat in this offense and get targets. What does that mean for Marvin Harrison? Then can Marvin Harrison get unlocked with Jacoby Brissett? If so, is that a major indictment on Kyler Murray? So many questions. Yes. Hopefully today we'll have some answers. And I think Arizona is in this game today. And also Jalen Waddle, he is going to be playing today too. So lots of injuries, lots of stuff flying around, Matt. But the good news is that we've got more football ahead of us today.
Yes, absolutely. On the other side of the break, we'll be doing your overs and your unders. We'll also be answering your start, sit, as well as your waiver wire questions at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Keep the conversation going. Joe, with this bye coming up next week, what does the manager that is trying to get in the playoffs need to do?
That is the trick, right? Like, you've got to make sure that you can get enough players out there on those teams. Just to look right now, the bye week teams, you have the Giants, you have the Patriots, you have the Panthers, you have the 49ers. So you are missing some key pieces here, but we're going to help you get ahead of that waiver wire as we always do. So make sure you stay with us for the next hour because we're going to have your fantasy on lock. We're going to get you in that playoff dance and get you ready for the playoffs that are coming in just a few weeks. So stick with us. We'll be right back with over-unders when we return, which helps you bet some props too.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so, best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said
earlier.
He got hit
behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today, or as some people like to call it, The Muppet Show. And yes, the Swedish chef is our producer, I promise you that. Joey P., my friend, it is time now for Fantasy Over Under. And you've been helping out so many people. And as we get deeper and deeper into the season, I think the books adjust. I think it becomes a little bit more difficult to pad our bankroll as we head into the playoffs. So what you're providing here is a great service. So a tip of the cap to you and a thank you. For those that are new to this, basically I'll give Joe a player and a scenario, and he'll tell me if it's over or under and why. Let's start with Shedeur Sanders. I think a lot of people are going to jump on this bandwagon. 154.5 passing yards is the number. I'd like to get your thoughts on if this is over or under, and if you can give me a quick little feeling on Shedeur now being under center.
Yeah, look, Shedeur is far from perfect. He does get rid of the football rather quickly. That's good. He is going to be at home. He just won his first start on the road last week against the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, not, a lot to get excited about there, but a win is a win, right? And, Chip Kelly finally fired too. I didn't realize this when Chip Kelly got fired, that he was the highest paid offensive coordinator. Talk about stealing money for the first half of the season. Oh my God. What a horrendous job by Chip Kelly on that, the first, 13 weeks of the season. But with Shedeur here, I just think this number is a little too low, especially when you factor in the San Francisco 49ers and what they haven't been able to do lately, which is stop anybody in the passing game. They've had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the football. And I'm looking at this one, and I got to be honest with you. I really love the Cleveland Browns to cover this 5.5. That defense plays really well at home. Yeah. I think you can get to the 180 range, maybe even scratch 200 today. Now, they will still run that football. But here's the thing you started to see a little bit, too, which is, some of those dump-off passes to Dylan Sampson, guys like that who are explosive. Those guys are going to have the yards after catch. Guys like Isaiah Bond, guys like, Jerry Jeudy. You've also got Cedric Tillman, back healthy these last couple weeks too. So he's got a full complement of weapons here, and he's got more time with the ones, got more practice time. It's a home game here over the holiday weekend. I think this crowd's going to be hyped up for this game, right? First home start for Shedeur coming off a victory. Yeah. I think the 49ers are in a bad spot, and I'm old enough to remember a couple years ago where Brock Purdy had everybody kind of get hurt around him, and this game deteriorated, and the Cleveland Browns beat the 49ers a couple years ago in Cleveland. And I think that memory's still there for Brock Purdy. And I'm just saying, I think Cleveland can cover this game, and I think Shedeur can go over this number.
And I think it's an excitement, not only for the team, but also for the league as well. It might bring some casual eyes, and that's always a good thing. All right, from quarterback, we move to receiver, and over-under for JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 90.5 receiving yards. Last week we were talking about the Offensive Player of the Year award, and while Jonathan Taylor, it's his to lose, the next name on the list, he's having an incredible season, is JSN. So 90.5 receiving yards, over or under today, and why, Joe?
Look, this is a high number, so I know it's going to make people unsettled. I'm going over it regardless. And the reason I'm going over it, he's gone over this number every single week since week 5, with one exception in week 10 against the Arizona Cardinals. And if you recall, that game against the Arizona Cardinals got way out of whack real quick. So here's the situation here. You have him playing the Minnesota Vikings today, right? The Minnesota Vikings are in a really difficult spot here where they just don't have anything, and they give up big plays. I think they're just done. I think it's over. I think they've thrown in the towel here. J.J. McCarthy is not going to play. He's in concussion protocol. You're going to get Max Brosmer playing today, starting quarterback, the third string rookie quarterback playing against the Seattle defense. This is going to be a bad situation. So a lot of people will say, well, maybe you don't need to push it. Right. Sam Darnold was a Minnesota Viking last year. I think he's going to push it. I think he's going to remind everybody, hey, I did a really good job for this team, and you guys didn't want me, and I'm going to remind you why you didn't want me. Sometimes it's personal, right? Joe Burrow Thursday night was a little personal. I'm going to come back and stick it to the Ravens because I can, and I think Sam Darnold is in a position to do the same. Now, look, to be fair, in perfect Letterkenny fashion, to be fair, I will say that, Sam Darnold did kind of fall apart last year for the Vikings, but Sam Darnold also got them to the playoffs. So whatever that evaluation system was, it didn't work out. Sam Darnold's having a good season, and JSN's having a fantastic one. I mean, he is 100 yards almost every single week. He is pushing to break records this year. So I'm going to go over, despite the fact that it's a very high number. That secondary for Minnesota has been terrible. They give up big plays. So I'm going to go over for JSN, too. He gets all the targets in that offense.
All right, good job as always, Joe. Let's keep the conversation going here and move on to a player on a team for which you have a great affinity. I'm talking about Travion Henderson and the New England Patriots. It'll be a Monday night game against the Giants. 66.5 rushing yards is the number. Does he go over or under, and why?
Well, did we see the Jahmyr Gibbs last week just run all over the New York Giants? Look, I know they fired the defensive coordinator, but too little too late there, too. They had no will to put a hand on Jahmyr Gibbs, let alone try to body him up. And you can fire the defensive coordinator all you want. It's not going to change the stripes of what this defense is. So I'm going to go over. We saw Ramondre come back last week, and how's that work in? Not very well. And considering the injuries to that offensive line, I think you're going to need to really work Travion Henderson in, get that explosiveness out there. You want that speed because you're missing 2 starters on that line right now, which is huge for the Patriots. So Giants can stay in this game, but I'm going to go over this number 2. So a lot of overs this week, I understand, but I just think that's where we are in terms of some of these situations.
No, I think it's smart because as a wagerer, a lot of times we are prisoner to the wager. But if we seek out the wager we desire, I'm looking for overs or I'm looking for good plus money. This is the way to do it. So let's stretch our legs out now and talk about Josh Allen. 25.5 rushing yards is the number. Now, I really want to hear your thoughts here. How does he achieve this? What needs to happen? Does he go over or under, and why?
I think he's going to go over the 25.5 here. Look, he didn't go over this against Houston, right? Houston game, different defense, different situation here. But the Pittsburgh Steelers also an older defense, right? We've seen them give up a lot of big plays. Now, he went over this in week 11. He went over this in week 10 against Miami and Tampa. And I think this is one of those moments, too, where you just got to keep pressing it. Now, he's gone over this more often than he hasn't this year, just to put that out there, too. Not so much against Carolina or Kansas City, but week 6, week 5, week 4, all over this number. So this is a 75% chance of hitting right now, and I just like this from a scenario standpoint, which is how do you win this football game? You keep the ball in Josh Allen's hand. I think it's just as simple as that. So I think you're going to have Josh Allen make plays with his legs. I like his touchdown equity in this game, too, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are also kind of on the brink right now of kind of falling apart a little bit. So this is a huge game for both of these teams. Buffalo trying to stay relevant, Steelers trying to stay relevant, but only one will be there at the end. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the market watch and what's moving on that board.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us, no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you got to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, So what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Striker and Joe Pisapia with you here, and it's time now for the FST Market Watch. Joe, this has been such a successful segment week over week, constantly helping people win, and that's what it's all about. What I'd like to discuss here is the AFC, the North and the South. I'd like to discuss the favorites, and then I'd like you to discuss maybe one or two, if there are, plus money options. Talk to me how the plus money team can usurp the favorite. Let's start in the AFC North. The favorites are still the Baltimore Ravens at minus 175. But then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers with a tough matchup today at plus 185. And then just for S's and G's, the Cincinnati Bengals at plus 1100. Talk to me about the AFC North.
Well, look, the Steelers are 6-5. The Ravens are 6-6. The Steelers today will play the Buffalo Bills. We were just talking about that Josh Allen game, right? So it's a perfect transition to kind of have this discussion. If the Steelers should win this football game, there is a little bit of distance and there is some value here on the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. So let's look at the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule going forward here, because I think this is what we're looking for and trying to figure out, how you can parlay a couple of these division winners together and how you can figure things out here. Okay. They play Buffalo this week, then they go on the road to Baltimore. So they play Baltimore twice, right? Still running in the schedule. Baltimore week 14, then Miami, then at Detroit, at Cleveland, and then again at home versus Baltimore. So really it's going to come down to, do you think that the Pittsburgh Steelers can beat the Baltimore Ravens? And I don't. I still don't believe that. I'll believe it when I see it. They couldn't do it last year, and I don't think they can do it this year either. I just think Baltimore is a better football team than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if you look at the Baltimore schedule, so they've already had their game, obviously, this week against Cincinnati. That was an L. They could have really put themselves in the driver's seat with a W. Yeah. They didn't get one. They get Pittsburgh, then Cincinnati again, so they get a little revenge game there. And they're going to play New England, but again, New England's not at full strength necessarily, too, with an offensive line. So that should be a tenuous game, possibly in play for them. They have to go at Green Bay, not the easiest, but again, Pittsburgh to finish up. So basically, it's going to come down to, if you just beat the Steelers, you win this division. And I'm going to bet on the Ravens, and you can see Vegas is betting on that fact as well, that the Ravens at the end of the day are going to beat the Steelers, and that's all that's going to have to happen. Right. And when they beat them in those two games, they will overtake them in the standings. They'll have tiebreakers. And for everybody who's loving, the Bengals, Joe Burrow's back. Look, if the Browns win today, they're going to have the same record. So what do we – no one's talking about the Browns winning any playoffs or the playoffs. We're talking about the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow more than most. He's part of the Council of Joes. I'm a huge fan of Joe Burrow, but let's not get ridiculous that all of a sudden the Bengals are a playoff team with that defense. They're not. So fun night, cool moment. Let's move on. Good to see Joe Burrow back. Bet on the Ravens to win that division.
Level-headed logic. It's what you come to FST for, and then you stay for the nonsense. All right, let's move to the AFC South here. The Colts, minus 210. All right, that's just where it goes. What needs to happen for a team like Jacksonville at plus 280 to take over?
Now, this one is really intriguing because I think you're getting a little bit of exposure about Daniel Jones at this point in time in the offense and what his limitations are and what he can do and what he can't. And it's been a good season for the Indianapolis Colts. I don't want to take away anything from them. But let's look at the schedule for both of these teams because there is a lot of value at plus 280 here for the Jaguars. And I'm going to talk to you about why. Here's their upcoming schedule, right? They're going to play the Tennessee Titans, right? Mm-hmm. Then they're going to play the Colts. If you beat the Colts, again, this is a really interesting scenario. They then play the New York Jets, probably a loss to the Denver Broncos in Denver. That's probably where the Jaguars are going to spit the bit. But then they play the Indianapolis Colts again and the Tennessee Titans. So you figure they're going to beat the Titans probably twice. If you can beat the Jets and win one of those games in Indianapolis or against Indianapolis, I should say, all of a sudden this division becomes really dicey. Now the Colts side of this schedule is a little bit tougher if you're looking ahead. They play Houston this week. That's a tough game. I think Houston can win this game outright. Then again, Jacksonville, as we mentioned. Then they go on the road at Seattle. Then they play the 49ers. And then they finish up again against Houston. So they've got 2 games remaining against that Houston Texans defense, whereas the Jaguars have 2 games remaining against the Titans. I think the Jaguars could potentially sneak in and win this division. I think that there's a lot of juice there. And that would be shocking considering how the Colts started out. I still think the Colts are a playoff team. But when you look at the remaining schedule, I think it's kind of interesting because if the Colts are just split with the Jags and they win their 2 games against the lowly Titans and the Indianapolis Colts lose 2 games against the Houston Texans defense, all of a sudden this division is going to the Jaguars. So just keep that in mind. So a lot of moving parts here, and it's going to have an impact on fantasy too, how these games are managed and what's going to happen. And speaking of managing games, when we come back, we're going to manage the starts and the sits for this week in fantasy football, so don't go anywhere. We'll get the right players in and the wrong players out of your lineups for kickoff.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt and Joe with you here, having an absolutely great time. We hope you are as well. Stick around here, SportsGrid, all day long. Great quality programming and insightful information. Remember, it is smarter to be on SportsGrid. All right, at SportsGrid TV, those are our social media handles. We're taking your start-sit questions now. We have some time, so keep them coming. All right, Joe, here we go. This first one is a running back question. It involves the Giants at New England on Monday or Pittsburgh against Buffalo, a game we seem to keep talking about. So do I start Tyrone Tracy on a Monday at New England, or do I start Kenneth Gainwell home against Buffalo?
Yeah, I think a lot of us were wondering, well, what's going to happen when Jaylen Warren returns last week? And what happened was a top 10 finish for Kenneth Gainwell again. 10 carries for 92 yards. He was averaging 9 yards a carry. Then he also had 6 targets. He caught all 6 of them for 30 yards. So now that was with Mason Rudolph under center, so you could take with that as you will. But he was also on the field 50% of the time. So maybe it's because of the Jaylen Warren health. Maybe this reverts back. But I got to tell you, Matt, I think I'm leaning towards Gainwell here regardless, because Tyrone Tracy has a really tough matchup against the New England Patriots, a defense against the run that has only given up one guy to have over 50 yards rushing in a game. They are one of the top run defenses in the league. And this is why the Patriots are going to be really tough when they get to the playoffs as well, because this is a team where they have a quarterback who makes good decisions, a team that is good at running the football with Travion Henderson and plays defense and stops the run. And they're going to be playing in, you would think, cold weather games at home in New England. So it's a lot of tough situations there for other AFC teams that are traveling there. But for me, I'm going to roll with Kenneth Gainwell, especially in PPR leagues, whereas Tyrone Tracy, I think, is working potentially in a negative game script. It's not that Tracy is not startable, but at the same time, I think Gainwell just gives you actually a higher floor, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go ahead with Gainwell against the Buffalo Bills, a defense that we've seen with the injuries they've had. They struggle stopping any running back. It doesn't matter whether it's on the ground or through the air. They have a lot of troubles on defense, so we'll see how that goes for them today. My guess is not well, considering how it's gone for them most of the season. But I'm going to go with Kenneth Gainwell here and hope that this split continues to favor him at least enough to get him over that 12-point threshold.
And a takeaway tactic there, folks, at least for me, is always looking at and addressing the player's floor and the player's ceiling in a realistic way. And Joe, you did a great job of doing that. Thank you. Let's move on now to, we just actually talked about this. Indianapolis plays Houston. Joe, you think that's going to be a tough one for the Colts? Let's talk about Alec Pierce or Keenan Allen. The Chargers have Las Vegas, a bit of a softer matchup. Which way do we lean?
It is a bit of a softer matchup, and I know Keenan Allen, after an incredible start to the season, has kind of faded a little bit. He is coming off the bye, though, and they are playing the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think this matchup is good enough where I'm going to lean towards Keenan Allen. Now, that is not popular because if you look on Fantasy Pros, Alec Pierce is actually ranked higher. And I understand, but to me, Pierce is very all or nothing. So if you're looking for the big home run, okay, Alec Pierce. But he is facing the Houston Texans defense, one of the best there is. I mean, they just put a whooping on the Buffalo Bills. Like, this is a team that's for real defensively, okay? And I think that Alec Pierce, although you're tempted by, the big output he had against Pittsburgh and, some of the big games he had against, like, Atlanta, right, or the Chargers a few weeks ago where he had 5 for 98. There's also games against the Tennessee Titans where he had just 2 catches, and games like last week against the Kansas City Chiefs where he had just 1 catch on 2 targets. So that's not going to get it done. I want the higher floor of Keenan Allen in this matchup with the better opponent being the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm going to lean towards the old man, Keenan Allen. Maybe a little rest off that bye. You see a little bit of a push forward here for Keenan Allen, and hopefully things go well for them against the Raiders today and then get back in this thing. By the way, also for the Chargers, Omarion Hampton, practice window open, but not playing this week. So you have to wait a little bit longer. So Kamani Vidal still also a start in week 13.
All right, score one for the old guys. A little bit of gray in the beard never hurt anybody. All right, let's move on to the tight end position here. Juwan Johnson is at Miami. He is one of maybe 2 or 3 offensive options for the Saints, if any. Or Dalton Schultz in the same Houston at Indianapolis game.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz is another tough one, too. I think both these guys are startable. The matchup against Indianapolis for Schultz is pretty good. You did see against Buffalo, all of a sudden it got quiet again. But at the same time, I think you're looking ahead and saying, all right, who gives me the best floor? And I think Juwan Johnson does at tight end. Tyler Shuck has been okay. Hasn't been, great by any stretch of the means, but he's made a couple plays when he's needed to. They're going against Miami. Now, here's the one thing I will say. Miami's defense has gotten better in these last couple weeks. Since they fired the GM, all of a sudden maybe people realize, hey, we might be out of jobs next year. We better start putting some good tape together for other teams to maybe be interested in us. And all of a sudden, the defense has played a little bit better. Now, I think Juwan Johnson, if you look at what Tyler Shuck's taken over, those young QBs, they look for the checkdowns. They look to the tight end. You don't have Alvin Kamara in this game either. So he is out. We'll talk more about Devin Neal later in the show. But when you also take him out of the passing game, it means a lot more of the underneath stuff is going to be Juwan Johnson. He had 7 targets, caught 6 of them for 46 yards. In PPR, that's going to give you 10 points. Again, who's got more touchdown equity? Probably Dalton Schultz. But in terms of PPR floor, I think it's Juwan Johnson. I think he could easily, the week before the bye, he was 4 for 4 for 92 yards, and he had a touchdown. So, again, I'll always lean towards a better quarterback with the Houston Texans than Tyler Shuck. But at the same time, I think Juwan Johnson, because of the way that team is structured now, without Alvin Kamara playing this week, I think Juwan Johnson has a really good chance to give you a good floor, and he has enough touchdown equity to get you by. He does have 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games.
Yep. All right, we're talking to Joe Pisapia, the author of the Fantasy Black Book. It is available right now. Joey P., my man, on the other side of the break, we're going to do some waiver wire questions. So at SportsGrid TV, get them in. But right now, we're talking start sit. All right, let's go over to New York for these next couple of ones. This first one is Jacoby Brissett, who's been great at Tampa, or Jackson Dart coming out of concussion protocol to start Monday night at New England. Joe, which way should I go?
Again, both guys very startable, but I think I'm going to lean towards Jacoby Brissett here. He's just a little bit safer. Jackson Dart, you have the risk too because he's coming out of concussion protocol. If he get hit again, his style of play is pretty rough. Like he comes out, he's in that blue tent, and next thing you know, he's out of that game. And I don't know if you can afford to have that happen. If you're looking at what Jacoby Brissett has done too in these last couple of weeks since he's taken over the reins, it's pretty impressive. And I don't think a lot of people have realized this. So let's go back to week 6 for a moment. 21.7 points. That was good for QB7. 19.8 points. Good for QB12 that week. 24.8 points. QB10. 19 in week 10 against Seattle, a very tough defense. Still was QB10. 23.9 against San Francisco, QB4. Jacksonville, 18.7, QB8. So he's basically been a QB1 every single week. And now he gets the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that has not been great these last few weeks. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start Jacoby Brissett. He's been a QB1. Jackson Dart, a little bit too risky for me when compared to Brissett.
All right, we stay in beautiful New Jersey, just picturesque and gorgeous. And if you can sense the sarcasm in my voice, I'm happy. All right, John Mechie III for the New York Jets has the Atlanta Falcons. Or is it Ramondre Stevenson, considering Travion Henderson's surge? He's RB 38 against the Giants. What we're doing here is a wide receiver 49 against a running back 38. Which one do I start?
I like John Mechie here, especially in the PPR leagues. Look, John Mechie is a talented player. When Alabama was going to national championships a couple years ago, John Mechie was the guy that moved the chains. He was the possession wide receiver in that offense, and Jameson Williams was the guy that was the big play, take the top off the defense, playmaker, we need a big moment here guy. But Mechie was the one that was reliable in that sense that you just, 5 yards, 8 yards, just moving the chains. And then he goes to the Houston Texans, at the time an awful organization and team. And then he has the cancer diagnosis. And it's been like an uphill battle just to come back and play football. And now John Mechie's in the spot here with Tyrod Taylor, where I like what he's doing here. And I thought it was a good pickup for them when the Jets did it. That first game that he played, really, when he started against New England, he got 3 of his 3 balls. 7 targets last week, 6 catches for 65 and a touchdown. He's got a touchdown in each of those games with Taylor as well. So this one's clear for me. I'm staying away from Ramondre, and I'm going John Mechie for sure here. And I think Mechie's an interesting pickup too. If he's still available in your leagues, you should be looking to add him. He is under 50% rostered, and he should not be. So John Mechie, another one of these guys that you should be adding this week for the stretch run. And if you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a really nice little, like a patchwork guy for week 14. Get ahead of things if you can. We come back, more guys to add off the waiver wire this week in football.
close to $1 million in volume being traded right now on the Offensive Player of the Year. If you did put $100 down on Jonathan Taylor, that would pay back $143, so a 43% increase on your money that you had. There are a lot of long shots in here, but it doesn't feel like those would be good bets. Like, hey, I'm going to put it on Justin Herbert. Well, yeah, if Justin Herbert wins it, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $10,000. They even have a market for if you want to bet Malik Neighbors.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
What are those things called?
A shooting star.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. Like, it just burns up quick. And you love it while you can see it, and bing, it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Right.
That's my fear for Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal, but I will say it's weird, and it seems like he really enjoys that attention, which is all fine because he's a young guy, but possibly dangerous in a city like New York.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The play is Our Fam. You don't know about Our Fam? Go look her up on social media. Go look at YouTube. 19-year-old from Spain, 6'6", block shots, runs the floor, rebounds, post up, inside, outside, pop the corn, serve the beer, and it can clean up the mess when you're done eating your meal. This lady is absolutely fantastic.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt and Joe with you here, having a great time. Sam Y, the sports guy behind the glass on the ones and twos. Folks, the FST and SportsGrid holiday party is soon upon us. And just want to hear from you guys at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Do you like going to your company's holiday parties? If so, let us know why. If not, let us know why. Now, Joe Pisapia, the most antisocial person I've ever met, tried to get Joe to come to these parties, tried to get Joe to come out.
No problem.
If you want to do it, it's Palatial Estate in Somerset, New Jersey. I wouldn't want to leave either. But Joe, the people want access to you. Come down from your ivory tower and help us with our waiver wire ads. We want players that are available in at least 5 out of 10 leagues. We want players that are going to be impactful now. Where should we start?
Well, I will grace the peasants with my presence here and give you waiver wire selections for the week. I'm the antisocial one. Please, Matthew Striker. Can't get him outside his, can't get him off the block in his own area, let alone into the city. This guy. All right, so Alvin Kamara, I mentioned earlier, is going to be out today, which means Devin Neal is a volume play. Now, it's a small sample size. He doesn't have any explosive runs yet or anything that's really kind of jumping off the charts. But he did have a good college career. I think a lot of people looked at Devin Neal's landing spot and said, okay, maybe this is the RB of the future, especially because the guys that they had drafted previously to be the guy of the future behind Alvin Kamara just haven't worked out. So Devin Neal has that opportunity here down the stretch to really prove something. And I will warn everybody who has Alvin Kamara, what the hell are the Saints playing for? There's no reason to rush him back, right? If anything, moving on next year, you want to be able to move on from a healthy Alvin Kamara, let him go somewhere else or make a trade or make a deal for him. But they might even cut him next year. Who knows if they have a new regime come in here. But I would say this, that Devin Neal, volume play, if you look on Fantasy Pros, he's RB25, which is perfect. I think he is ranked this week appropriately. He's not quite an RB2, but he's definitely flex worthy. But if you have a bunch of RBs that have had injuries or guys you are waiting on that aren't going to play, like Omari and Hampton, I'm looking at you. Devin Neal is a streamer, and he could have more value going forward too in these weeks ahead because there's no reason for the Saints to rush back Alvin Kamara because they have nothing to play for. So just keep that in mind here when you're looking at Devin Neal. And again, he's rostered in over half of leagues already. If he's still floating around the waiver wire this morning, pick him up.
All right, we're getting messages in already at SportsGrid TV that Neil is picked up in a lot of people's leagues, so they're asking for a pivot. Where should we go if Neil is already part of someone else's team?
Well, this is the guy we talked about last week too, but he had a bye, and I thought that's the perfect time to sneak him through waiver wires, and it's Chris Rodriguez. But clearly nobody listened because he is still available in 75% of leagues. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. I am saying he's kind of the quote-unquote lead guy at this point. He has more touchdown equity too. He's the goal line back. So Chris Rodriguez, not Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, is really the running back you want in fantasy. And this is why I didn't chase Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt early in the season. And a lot of people love, some of the upside that he had. But I think if you look back, this whole offseason for the Commanders has been a disaster. They did not do enough to fortify. I think they were living off their laurels. They were the darling last year, and injuries came for the wide receivers and then for the quarterback. And before all of that started, they traded Brian Robinson Jr., their workhorse back. Yeah. And I wonder if they had him, how different this season might have been. Could they have stayed relevant? Because this division, every time the Eagles lose, it gets a little bit more wide open. And don't look now, but the Cowboys are kind of nipping at the heels a little bit of those Philadelphia Eagles. So just saying, Cowboys fans getting their dander up. It's been fun on the internet. Chris Rodriguez, though, again, if you're looking for bench depth at running back or even a spot starter this week, not the greatest matchup against the Denver Broncos, but after that, it gets Minnesota and the Giants in weeks 14 and 15. Those are much more favorable matchups.
All right, let's move on now. Give me a team that needs someone to contribute to their offense. Give me a player that is widely available and make it a team that I'm not expecting, a player I don't see coming. Can you do that?
Well, one of the rookies that we really liked coming out of the draft process was Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins and his teammate Jalen Noel were both drafted by the Houston Texans. But unfortunately, I feel like they forgot that he played for them for the first 10 weeks of the season. Now, all of a sudden, you're starting to see a little bit of Jaden Higgins for the Houston Texans, and he's just 35% roster. And last time we saw him, the last Thursday night against the Buffalo Bills, 4 catches on 9 targets for a touchdown. The week before, 7 targets. The week before that, 7 targets. Now, Nico obviously has had some health issues too in between, but Jaden Higgins to me is starting to emerge, I think. And I think it's really important for the Houston Texans to understand what they have, because a lot of the comps for Jaden Higgins were Nico Collins. So if Nico should go bye-bye this offseason, you want to know, is Jaden Higgins the replacement guy or is he not? This is a good evaluation period, a huge game against the Indianapolis Colts. I like Jaden Higgins' touchdown equity in this game too. He's actually got 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games, 3 in his last 5. So he's trending in the right direction there, and that is a good thing, gaining confidence of the quarterbacks there, whether it's been Mills or C.J. Stroud. So look for Jaden Higgins to be another guy that can help you down the stretch and possibly in your playoff run.
All right, getting a lot of pronunciation questions on this next name. Folks, please be careful with this one. Tennessee Titans, Joe, you'll correct me, Chimere Dike is only 24% rostered. Talk to me.
It's good. Chimere Dike. Chimere. But
right,
a lot of people just call him Dike.
That's what I was
fine. Yeah. Well, that's also fair. But if you need to plug a hole in your roster, Chimere Dike could be that guy for you. And I will tell you this right now, Chimere Dike is a player that if you have return yards in your league, is certainly a player that you need to be rostering, because you saw last week that explosive punt return for a touchdown. He returns kicks too. But he's also been kind of the favorite target lately of Cam Ward, who has played better the last couple of weeks. Now, he's a little all or nothing. We know this. But again, specifically return yard leagues where you have that factored into your fantasy scoring, DK's definitely got to pick up, and he's widely available in leagues. Again, he's not relevant in all leagues. This is more of a deeper league thing, but 24% rostered. Could be a little bit higher, and he could have some streaming value this week.
Might have to change this segment to call Early Morning Laughs. Joe, thank you for the call. All right, last but not least, we had talked about how the Jacksonville Jaguars can overtake Indianapolis in the division. That all matters with Trevor Lawrence. Take us to the break talking about Trevor Lawrence.
Yes, Trevor Lawrence has been a QB1 in 3 of his last 4 games, so quietly playing a little bit better. Now, we wish Brian Thomas Jr. would play better. It's unfortunate that we had some injuries around that wide receiver group too, and Travis Hunter just when he was starting to get right. But things have gone better for Trevor Lawrence. He gets Tennessee this week, then Indianapolis, then the Jets. So the next 3 weeks, he's a streaming QB option. We come back to things to look for in Week 13 in the NFL.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The play is Our Fam. You don't know about Our Fam? Go look her up on social media. Go look at YouTube. 19-year-old from Spain, 6'6", block shots, runs the floor, rebounds, post up, inside, outside, pop the corn, serve the beer, and it can clean up the mess when you're done eating your meal. This lady is absolutely fantastic.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today with Matt and Joe. Of course, FST is your favorite interactive season-long fantasy and wagering show. Isn't that right, my friend Joe? At SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV, and at Joe Pisapia 17, because why not? All right, Joe, my man, 3 things we're looking forward to today and this week as it really comes into crunch time here, both in season-long fantasy as well as wagering, because a lot of teams, dare we say it, look, they're human. They check out, and that affects the bets that we make. So where do you want to start? Give me a few things that you got your eye on, upon which you have your eye. Excuse me.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I wouldn't have continued if not for the grammar correction. Well done. We have Matt set on a Grammarly setting, so like it just automatically corrects itself when certain things come out of his mouth. Can't be said that about me, though. I got no filters. A definitive problem. But first thing that's got my attention this week after a great start to the week, let me tell you, I mean, that's some really fun holiday football. I know if you're a fan of certain teams, if you're a Lions fan, you're in your feelings right now, and you should be. If you're an Eagles fan, you're definitely in your feelings right now. If you're a Ravens fan, I get it, and a Chiefs fan, like, maybe your turkey and your leftovers weren't very satisfying. But that's all right, because we got a lot more football. And today we got the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this game is huge for both of these teams, because if the Buffalo Bills lose again, just putting this out there, and the Patriots beat the Giants on Monday night, they're going to be 4 games behind them. And this is bye-bye.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total or going into the year with the Patriots was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple of weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts those 2 games. But this Bills game is not just big for Buffalo, but it's huge also for the Steelers, because if the Steelers can win, they have a 1-game lead going into that 2 games they have remaining against the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens then have the pressure to win both of those games. If they lose today to the Buffalo Bills, which I think they're going to, well then, all of a sudden you are then tied with the Ravens. And then all of a sudden things get a little bit trickier for you, and their schedule might be a little bit easier than yours is, and you have to win both of those games to really win out. And I don't know if the Steelers are built that way. I really don't. So this is going to be a fascinating thing to watch. Also fascinating to watch the Patriots offensive line. Now we had Will Campbell get an injury. He goes to IR. They lost another piece on that offensive line. But the good news is Will Campbell is just a sprain the MCL. So he goes on the IR. He's going to miss 4 games, but they hope to have him back in the playoffs. And if they should get a first-round bye, that's even more important for them. So let's watch how that offensive line plays without 2 major pieces. That could be a little bit tricky here for that Giants game. It could put a Giants cover potentially also in play. Giants offense can show up. We've seen that. It's the Giants defense that seems to be a big problem and collapsing over and over and over again. Also, the Broncos have a chance to pull ahead now, right? Because now the Broncos are in a spot where the Chiefs are 6-6, the Chargers are 7-4, and the Broncos are 9-2. All the Broncos got to do is get a W today, and they go to 10 wins. And it is, again, bye-bye to this division. And the Chiefs are fighting for relevance, somehow trying to backdoor their way into the playoffs. Also, some injury news and updates, too. Bucky Irving is expected to play this week. We've been waiting for weeks for him, so hopefully that helps Baker Mayfield out. Saints expect Chris Olave to play as well today. And it looks like the Browns are opening up that Shedeur Sanders playbook and extending some more looks for him. That's good for that over, was at 154.5, I believe, that we spoke about earlier, Matt. What was your favorite moment of all the holiday games this week, just out of curiosity?
Well, as a Dak Prescott manager, it was watching Dak just build up my early scores. Now, I'm in one of the leagues, I'm really pushing for a playoff appearance. I can't afford to lose any games. And this one was looking like I was going to lose it. And then Dak's performance moved the thing to 50-50, which everyone loves to see in the matchup, 50%, 50%. So now it shows like this that are going to help me make my changes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had Amon-Ra St. Brown in my most important league. So that big fat goose egg was not good. But whatever. Still alive. We'll see how it goes. But Dak Prescott, that was one of our favorite guys going into the year as the free quarterback. Remember? He was not even being drafted in the top 12 QBs. He is QB4 in fantasy right now this year. QB4 for Dak Prescott. That's a pretty good season for him. And all of a sudden, Dallas Cowboys rattling off a couple wins. Yep. Cowboys could get real interesting here with the Philadelphia Eagles down the stretch. That win they had against the Eagles a couple weeks ago, huge too. So Eagles are reeling. Cowboys are surging. Lots of important football going on. So, of course, stay here on SportsGrid for all of the coverage here. Pro Football Today will take you up to kickoff. And, of course, In-Game Live will take you through all the in-game live betting for all things NFL today on the network. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Matt Striker, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.